The blood libel myth started in the Middle Ages just after the Second Crusade, and it seems to have first been used as a legal argument by a Christian knight who killed a Jewish man who had loaned him money to be able to make the crusade. But the story begins before that, in Norwich, England. A young boy named William was found dead in the forest outside Norwich in 1144, just before Easter. At the time it was treated as an unsolved murder, but a series of circumstances turned this into a celebrated case and a curse on Jewish life. One circumstance was that Norwich Cathedral, which was completed in 1145, the year after William's death, did not have relics of a saint like other major cathedrals of the time had. It needed a saint. An additional circumstance was the failure of the Second Crusade from 1145 to 1149, and the return of the English Crusaders with no relics of saints and no plunder. The knight, Simon de Nevers, arrived back in debt and destitute. He then killed the Jewish banker who was reclaiming the money he had loaned him for the crusade. De Nevers' defense was he was justified in killing a Jew because the Jews were the killers in the unsolved case of young William. The knight was acquitted. Then, 20 years later, a friar, Thomas of Monmouth, published a book accusing Jews of killing William in a ritual murder. If Jews killed William, that would justify making him a saint. In the meantime, William was reburied from his common grave to the cathedral itself. The rest is history. Contrary to popular belief, the blood libel accusation was used infrequently in the medieval period, but it became more common in the 19th century when it was used more than in all previous centuries combined. The 75 years from 1870 to 1945 were the worst. Although the blood libel accusation was infamously first invented in Norwich, it has since been largely pushed into the dustbin of history in that city. Norwich Cathedral is one of the great cathedrals of Europe, and it has one of the largest cloisters. Because of its grandeur and the beauty of its architecture, it was one of the cathedrals chosen for the filming of Harry Potter. At the Norwich Cathedral, we found something very different from the history of blood libel. Far from the story of William, Norwich Cathedral was the location for the exhibition of the 85-foot-long Diplodocus dinosaur discovered in the American West. Andrew Carnegie donated this replica to England's Natural History Museum. And in Norwich, it filled the cathedral with children and their families for months on end. When questioned about the William of Norwich story, several of the docents at the cathedral said that they did not know the story. One did vaguely remember that such a story existed, but did not know the details. An official of the learning staff did mention that the last known location for the grave of William had been in the area of the Jesus Chapel, just behind the high altar. But he continued that the location was lost today, and there is no plaque or information about William or where his final resting place might be. The 900-year-old myth, started by a friar who apparently wanted to create a saint for his new cathedral, has bedeviled Jews for centuries, reaching a climax in the Russian pogroms, massacres, destroyed communities, and ultimately the Holocaust. The blood libel myth is fruit of the religious imagination in which ritual is focused on blood, such as the Christian communion, in which believers regularly drink blood figuratively. In contrast, blood has no place in Jewish ritual. In fact, it is prohibited. Thomas of Monmouth twisted the murder of a child into a quasi-crucifixion that he could blame on Jews, and people believed it. Today, Norwich seems to have forgotten this malicious mark from a history it no longer wants to remember, but it leaves us wondering why this accusation of a bizarre act imagined in the fantasy of medieval minds so long ago has had such power for so long.